What unfolds when a CEO takes it upon himself to arrange books in his own store, only to uncover a concealed treachery? Xavier Ellington adjusted the frayed baseball cap atop his tousled brown hair and pushed open the front doors of his beloved bookstore, the 12th of 17 in his collection. 15 years ago, he embarked on a journey, launching his first venture by selling second-hand novels from a small shop that had a leaky roof. Once a familiar establishment, it had recently begun to feel increasingly detached from its roots. There was an increase in customer complaints, yet none identified a particular issue. He had to witness it firsthand. He sported chunky glasses, a worn hoodie, and distressed jeans. He even let a scruffy beard grow for 2 months, just for this. None of the individuals in this store had encountered him in person. The recruitment process was overseen by district managers, simple to integrate seamlessly. The bookstore hummed with a subtle vibrancy. A handful of patrons meandered through the inviting aisles. Gentle indie melodies drifted from the speakers. A woman wearing a name tag that said Emily H. approached, holding a clipboard. "Text. You must be the new guy, Zane," she inquired, a smile gracing her lips. "Indeed," Xavier responded, employing the pseudonym they had established. "Okay, we're a bit lacking today." 2 individuals reported their absence due to illness. "It occurs frequently during flu season," she remarked with a sigh. "You'll follow my lead for a while, and then we'll go our separate ways." "That sounds great," Xavier remarked, trailing behind her as she moved past the vibrant array of hardcovers and the elegant leather-bound classics. Emily was swift, astute, and gracious with clients. She articulated her points with clarity and ensured thoroughness in her explanations. Xavier felt an immediate connection with her. After an hour of observing and organizing, Emily presented him with a collection of rare books that had just arrived. She instructed to place these on the shelf for rare editions. "Exercise caution. A few of these hold significant value." While he bore the treasured bundle, a gentleman in a neatly pressed sweater vest approached him. The name tag displayed the title Manager Austin. "Wait a minute," Austin remarked, glancing at the books. Xavier handed them over for inspection. Austin scanned the titles swiftly, then murmured, "There's no chance we're offering these at the standard price." He pulled a Sharpie from his pocket and hastily wrote new price stickers, tripling the original amounts, causing Xavier to blink in surprise. Emily said. But before she could continue, Austin interrupted. "Emily doesn't run this store." His voice sank to a deeper tone. "Hey there, newcomer, those customers seeking rare editions? They've got the cash to spend. They won't hesitate to part with a little more cash. We achieve targets. We earn rewards. If you wish to maintain your position, you will follow my instructions." Xavier nodded slowly, concealing the fire igniting within his chest. "Excellent." "Now go shelve them," Austin said, thrusting the stack back into Xavier's arms and walking away as if he hadn't just taken something from someone. Xavier placed the books on the shelf, his heart racing. He was utterly astonished by what he had just witnessed. The hours stretched interminably as Xavier observed intently. Austin snapped at a teenage cashier for being too slow with a customer. He held Emily responsible for a missing shipment that was not her doing. He even boasted to another employee, a weary-looking college student named Nate, about taking advantage of the wealthy. As the evening wore on, Xavier found himself both drained and seething, yet he understood the importance of certainty. Perhaps Austin was simply experiencing a rough day. Perhaps there was something deeper at play. As the store's doors shut for the night, Xavier lent a hand to Emily in securing everything. She appeared exhausted, yet managed to smile at him. "You performed well today, Zane," she remarked. "Many newcomers struggle to endure even a week with Austin's intense scrutiny." "Thank you," Xavier expressed. "Is he consistently that way?" Emily paused for a moment, then gave a slight shrug. "Things have taken a turn for the worse recently. Pressure to sell. He believes that by tightening our grip on customers, we can preserve the figures." Xavier gave a silent nod. Within, he reached a conclusion. He would return the following day. He required further insight before taking action. If Austin was siphoning trust from their customers to enrich himself, Xavier was determined to dismantle it all on his own. Xavier arrived early the next morning. the bookstore enveloped in a tranquil, drowsy hush before the first customers began to arrive. He discovered Emily at the side door, her eyes heavy with weariness. "Good morning," he said as he entered. "Hey, Zane," she said, her voice frayed and delicate. "You've arrived quite early." He decided to take the initiative, placing his backpack behind the counter. Emily presented him with a clipboard. "Today marks the inventory audit. We need to review the unique additions and the latest releases. Austin is fuming over the missing stock." Xavier acknowledged with a nod as he accepted the list. He observed the subtle quiver in her hand as she extended it. Forward. There was an unspoken burden on her, lingering in silence. By mid-morning, the store buzzed with energy. Shoppers perused the aisles. A woman dressed in a navy blazer sought assistance in locating a vintage poetry collection. Xavier assisted her in the search, appreciating the diversion from the persistent anger that quietly lingered beneath his composed facade. While he knelt beside a low shelf arranging hardcovers, a piercing voice reached him from the front. "You took too long at break again," Austin said, his voice cutting through the silence with sharp precision. "I only took 15 minutes, Nate replied, his shoulders tense as he stood behind the register. 15 minutes or 20 minutes, it's all the same." Austin snapped, "Every second you're not selling is costing me money." The woman at the counter, poised to complete her transaction, shifted with a hint of unease. Xavier stood up gradually, placing aside what was neglected and observed from afar. Nate whispered a few words softly to himself. "What was that all about?" Austin insisted, moving in closer. "I insisted it wasn't right to hold me responsible for the sluggish traffic," while Nate raised his voice, his cheeks turning red. "You know, mornings are just lifeless," Austin murmured, leaning in with a voice that was low yet clear. "Fairness won't pay the bills, my friend. Think twice about that." The woman forsook her purchase and departed, the door ringing softly in her wake. So Austin pivoted seamlessly. "Nate, you need to make up for that sale. You'll be staying late tonight to restock the bargain bins." "But I have class," Nate argued. "Not my problem," Austin said, already striding away. Xavier tightened his fists, struggling to maintain his breath. He had to hold back for now, not wanting to compromise his position before understanding the entire situation. As Xavier was organizing a fresh shipment, he caught the faint murmurs of two employees conversing quietly near the back storage room. "Have you heard?" one remarked. "Austin has been keeping the profits from the rare books." "Absolutely not," the other responded. "In what way?" "He inflates the prices, offloads books, and then processes less expensive ones through the system." Xavier crouched low behind a towering stack of boxes, his heart racing wildly. This exceeded his worst expectations. It wasn't merely a case of overpricing, it was blatant theft. During lunch, Xavier found himself seated next to Emily in the small break room, munching on a sandwich that he hardly savored. "Emily," he said with caution, "has anyone ever mentioned anything regarding Austin's approach to finances?" She tensed, casting a quick look at the door. "You must choose your words wisely," she murmured. "Months ago, there were inquiries prompted by corporate concerns. Following that, 2 individuals were reassigned, decent folks, and things only deteriorated after their departure." "What's the reason to remain?" Xavier inquired, and she cast her gaze downward, focusing on her hands. "I have a deep appreciation for literature. I take great joy in assisting others in discovering something that can transform their entire day. I truly require this position. My mother's medical expenses are accumulating rapidly." Xavier gulped nervously. He was unable to reveal the truth to her at that moment, but he was determined to protect her loyalty from being compromised in such a way. The afternoon stretched on endlessly. Xavier observed as Austin charmed a customer interested in a collector's edition, embellishing its rarity with a smooth facade. He observed Nate labor through his break, silently shelving heavy boxes, his jaw set in a determined grimace. He observed Emily as she softly assisted an elderly man in finding the correct section, all while her own manager overlooked her contributions completely. As the day drew to a close, Xavier stepped up to assist Nate with the bargain bins. "You don't have to," Nate said, wiping the sweat from his brow. "It's all good," Xavier said. Moreover, having two pairs of hands can accomplish tasks more swiftly than relying on just one. Amidst the harsh glow of fluorescent lights, they toiled in an uneasy quiet until Nate broke the stillness with his voice. "You're just starting out. So it's understandable that you might not fully grasp it yet. Austin, he's beyond reach. His figures appear impressive on the page. That's all that counts in the mind." "What are the thoughts on the customers?" "The staff," Xavier inquired, as he arranged a stack of worn cookbooks while Nate let out a harsh laugh. "It's of no consequence. As long as the sales targets are achieved, no one pays much attention." Xavier remained silent, unable to respond. Not at this moment. As they wrapped up, Austin strolled over, giving Nate a hearty clap on the shoulder that nearly sent him off balance. "You see, hard work pays off," Austin remarked, a grin spreading across his face that sent a shiver down Xavier's spine. Nate whispered a good night before departing, his face weary and strained. Austin glanced over at Xavier. "You're doing just fine, Zane. Stay focused, follow instructions, and success will come your way." Xavier managed a strained smile. "Thank you." As he exited the store that night, he cast a glance back once. The lights within danced erratically as Emily secured the door, her shoulders hunched beneath an unseen burden. Xavier made his way to his car, feelings swirling within him. He had witnessed more than enough. Tomorrow he would return, not as Zane the newcomer, but as Xavier Ellington, the visionary who had forged this company from the ground up, and he carried the weight of repercussions along with him. Xavier lingered at the threshold of the bookstore, the morning sun casting its warm glow through the windows. He donned a sharp navy blazer atop a white shirt, his beard impeccably groomed, the baseball cap and hoodie absent. Workers hurried about, getting ready for the opening, none of them aware of his presence just yet. He noticed Emily organizing the latest arrivals, silent yet effective, while Nate rearranged the displays by the registers, his eyes tinged with fatigue from sleepless nights. Austin lingered by the cafe counter, his laughter ringing out as he engaged with a part-time cashier who appeared somewhat uncomfortable beneath his scrutiny. Xavier was quick to act. He entered the middle of the room, clapped his hands twice to capture everyone's focus, and announced, "Good morning, everyone. Xavier Ellington is my name. This company is mine." The atmosphere became still. Emily let the book slip from her grasp. Nate straightened abruptly, a look of bewilderment crossing his features. Austin's laughter stumbled, his smile wavering. Xavier allowed the silence to linger for a few heartbeats more, then proceeded, his voice steady yet resolute. "For the last 2 days I've been engaged in covert operations within this store. I witnessed actions that go against the very principles this company upholds. I am present to tackle those matters." Austin was the first to regain his composure, stepping ahead with a strained laugh. "Mr. Ellington, what a delightful surprise this is, sir. If you had given me a heads up about your arrival, I preferred to keep it from you," Xavier interjected, gaze unwavering. "I had to uncover the reality." Austin moved slightly, his assured exterior beginning to falter. Xavier faced the group of employees assembled around him. "Emily, Nate, all of you present need to listen to this." He waved his hand toward the section featuring rare editions. "Yesterday, I observed the intentional inflation of prices on rare books, all without proper authorization. Customers were deceived. The bond of trust has been shattered." A few employees shared knowing looks. Emily's fingers fidgeted with the hem of her sweater, yet her eyes remained locked on Xavier. "Moreover," Xavier went on, "workers faced public humiliation, were coerced into unpaid labor, and were regarded as expendable rather than appreciated." Austin's cheeks turned crimson. "Sir, it is important to recognize that our sales targets have been declining. I needed to think outside the box. We face a significant demand to deliver results." Xavier fixed his gaze on him unwaveringly. Theft and mistreatment lack any semblance of creativity. Austin began to speak once more, but Xavier interrupted him. "Your services are no longer required, effective immediately. You will be escorted out by security. The final paycheck will be sent out following a comprehensive audit." Austin's lips moved in silence for a moment, before he pivoted sharply and marched toward the back office, slamming the door with such force that the windows trembled. Xavier exhaled deeply, then faced the astonished employees once more. This establishment is ready for improved guidance, and from this moment forward, that will be the case. A wave of doubt swept across the gathering. Silence enveloped the room. Xavier gestured for Emily to advance. This place has thrived under your unwavering commitment, even in the face of daunting challenges. I witnessed it directly. Emily blinked quickly, grappling with her thoughts. Xavier announced, I'm promoting you to interim store manager, effective, immediately, with a full pay adjustment and complete managerial authority. Her lips parted in astonishment. I'm at a loss for words. Just say yes, Xavier said plainly. Indeed, she inhaled deeply, her chest rising and falling rapidly. Next, he directed his attention to Nate. It was unjust for you to face consequences for fulfilling your responsibilities. That comes to a close now. A well-structured schedule will be provided, taking into account your class commitments. Enough with the mandatory extra hours, enough with the intimidation. Nate gave a slight nod, his throat tightening as he swallowed. Xavier turned to face the group once more. An audit team is being brought in today. Each rare book will undergo a thorough examination. We will reach out to every customer who was overcharged and ensure they receive their refund. Complete openness, without any exceptions. A woman in her middle years who had been silently organizing travel guides lifted her hand with a touch of hesitation. Is the store going to be closed for the audit? Xavier shook his head. No, he replied. We have a responsibility to provide our customers with the best, but we also have a duty to ensure you receive your hours. We will remain open. The audit team will coordinate with you. Any disruption will be limited to the bare minimum. She nodded, a sense of relief washing over her expression. Xavier noticed the unspoken question lingering in the eyes of several employees before anyone found the courage to articulate it. What is the situation with corporate? Nate finally posed the question. Do they truly care? Xavier's voice lowered, calm and confident. I am part of the corporate world, and I genuinely care. This company was founded on a foundation of trust and a genuine passion for literature, rather than on the pursuit of profit. From this point forward, each store will maintain direct communication with my office. Eliminate the layers of bureaucracy that obscure issues. A young woman caught his eye near the bargain section, nervously adjusting a clipboard in her hands. You had something to share, he inquired softly. She moved ahead, her voice quivering just a bit. For months now, we've been operating with a reduced team. When individuals left, they were not substituted. We've been managing double shifts without any additional support. Xavier gave a single nod. Effective immediately. Emily is granted complete autonomy to bring on new team members without requiring any approvals. We will also approve overtime compensation until we achieve stable staffing levels. It is unreasonable to expect someone to perform the duties of 2 positions while receiving compensation for only 1. The young woman's shoulders drooped, a clear sign of her relief. Xavier surveyed the surroundings, noticing the gradual relaxation settling over the gathering. Hope took the place of doubt in their gaze. He had more to say. He mentioned that the customer experience will undergo a weekly audit for the upcoming 3 months, not to catch you in a misstep, but to identify issues early and address them. You have company in this journey now. Emily advanced, her voice steady even as emotion weighed heavily upon it. Thanks a lot. Our aim is to enhance this environment. We simply required someone to show concern. Xavier locked eyes with her. That is now in your possession. A gentle wave of consensus flowed among the employees. Xavier glanced at the clock. The store was set to open in 10 minutes. Today is bound to be chaotic, he remarked. The audit team is already en route. Questions will arise. There may be some dissatisfied customers upon discovering the inflated prices. Yet we confront it directly. Without excuses or cover-ups, he took a moment to reflect. And as we emerge from this journey, this store will stand more resilient than ever before. Emily straightened, a newfound confidence radiating from her stance. "We are prepared." The doors swung open precisely as scheduled. Patrons started to arrive. Unaware of the tempest that had recently swept by, Xavier remained throughout the day, not as a remote supervisor, but side by side with his team. He diligently restocked shelves, took the time to explain refunds to bewildered customers with patience, and quietly updated outdated signage on his own. As the audit team made their entrance, they integrated effortlessly into the rhythm of the workday. There should be no yelling or theatrical disputes, only straightforward and sincere feedback. As the clock struck closing time, the store appeared, unchanged to the untrained observer. As Emily secured the doors, she turned to Xavier, sensing the shift in the atmosphere among those inside. "You truly meant it," she remarked. "I did," he said simply. Nate maneuvered a cart laden with returns past them, stopping for a moment. "Thanks for caring," he said, his voice gravelly. Xavier gave a faint, weary smile. "This is my profession." He lingered after the others departed, meandering slowly through the aisles. The aroma of aged paper and weathered wood permeated the atmosphere. The scent was reminiscent of fresh starts once more. He was certain of one thing. He would never allow distance to obscure his vision again. The essence of his company transcended spreadsheets and quarterly reports. It was in this space, among the rows of books, held by those who embraced the enchantment of their daily creations. He would battle fiercely to safeguard it. Before the sun peeked over the horizon, Xavier arrived back at the bookstore, parking outside and taking a moment to soak in the stillness of the early morning. He observed the gentle glow of the lights, coming to life, figures shifting within as the staff readied themselves for yet another extended day ahead. His mind was sharp. There remained tasks to complete if the store was to recover fully. He entered just as Emily was distributing the opening tasks. She donned the same cardigan as the day before, yet her posture had transformed, exuding a sense of grounding and certainty. She noticed him and approached, tucking a pencil behind her. "Here? Once more we're lacking," she remarked. "One of the seasonal hires was a no-show," Xavier acknowledged with a nod. "We'll find a way to navigate through it." Finding the right staffing solutions requires careful consideration and time. Emily cast her eyes toward the section filled with rare books. The audit team wrapped up their work late last night. They discovered more than 100 items that were incorrectly priced. "Today we will reach out to our customers." "I'll remain and assist with that," Xavier stated. "We must take ownership of this duty." She paused for a moment, then added, "There's something more to consider. Nate is considering resigning." Xavier placed his coffee cup on the table. Where could he be? She mentioned the break room, her voice barely above a whisper. Xavier turned on his heel, navigating the maze of stocked carts and towering stacks of incoming shipments in silence. Nate lingered at the plastic table, a half-eaten granola bar resting before him. He had already slung his backpack over one shoulder. "You're considering a departure," Xavier remarked as he drew out a chair. Nate merely shrugged, his gaze fixed elsewhere. "I truly value your efforts, but I simply cannot take a chance on uncertainty. Finals are just around the corner." Xavier clasped his hands together, expressing his frustration. "I can't endure another semester like the last one." Nate shook his head, insisting that it wasn't necessary. "It's more than just the time spent. It seems as though nothing holds significance, as if you only exist when you make a mistake." "It holds significance," Xavier remarked. "Your presence is significant. I won't plead with you to remain. That's a decision you have the power to make, but with a bit of patience, you'll witness genuine transformation here." Nate reclined, arms folded across his chest. "Words hold little value," Xavier concurred. "That's why I'm not just sharing words, I'm delivering results. You will receive a fixed schedule, free from last-minute alterations, no unpaid overtime, and if you wish, I will gladly provide you with a recommendation when you are prepared for your next opportunity." Nate observed him intently for an extended period. At last he declared, "I'll allow it a week." Xavier extended his hand. Nate moved it with confidence. As they re-emerged onto the floor, the store hummed with energy. Emily assisted a mother in her search for children's books, while 2 new recruits from the corporate emergency list received training at the register. Xavier noticed the charged looks that employees cast toward the display of the rare edition. The harm Austin had inflicted would require time to mend. He took Emily aside. "Today I aim to create a table dedicated to appreciating our customers. Complimentary coffee, complimentary bookmarks, perhaps a few minor discounts on paperback books. Rebuilding trust begins with demonstrating our appreciation for them." Emily raised her eyebrows. "Typically, we don't provide complimentary items." "Today is the day," Xavier remarked. "I'll handle the expenses myself until the corporate team revises the budget," she said with a brief, authentic smile that was new to the conversation. By noon, the table had been arranged close to the entrance. Initially, customers were hesitant, but as they recognized the authenticity, the atmosphere transformed. The chatter grew more vibrant, and smiles appeared with greater frequency. An elderly gentleman clad in a tweed jacket graciously accepted a complimentary coffee, letting out a hearty chuckle. It's rare to witness a company owning up to its errors. Xavier presented him with a bookmark featuring the store's logo elegantly embossed on it. "We may have our flaws, but we are committed to improvement." The man gave a satisfied nod and strolled over to the history section. The mid-afternoon hours ushered in yet another challenge. A woman burst through the door, gripping a receipt and a unique collection of poetry. "This book was meant to be a gift," she said, her voice strained with frustration. "I discovered that its value is only 50% of what I originally spent." Emily attempted to step in, yet Xavier advanced instead. "I'm Xavier Ellington," he stated, with a composed demeanor. "I oversee this store, so let's address this issue." The woman's expression changed subtly, a glimmer of doubt appearing in her eyes. "I demand a complete refund," she declared. Xavier assured you would receive it, along with an apology. He took it upon himself to handle the return, bypassing the usual system policy. As he passed her the money, he murmured, "I regret that this occurred. That was not appropriate, and does not reflect our true identity. If you would consider giving us another opportunity, I would be pleased to present you with a gift card as a token of appreciation." The woman paused, then accepted it without a word. She departed in silence, yet the door remained unscathed as she exited. Minor triumphs, Xavier mused. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the store began to pulse with a new energy. Workers exhibited a heightened sense of vigor and a greater sense of pride. Patrons stayed for an extended period. The newly audited and accurately labeled rare editions section sparked authentic curiosity rather than hesitant looks. As the day came to a close, Emily assembled the team near the front counter. "I just wanted to say," she began, then paused, her mind sifting through the possibilities for the perfect expression. "Today had a unique quality to it. It feels as though we belong to something once more." Nods circulated among the group. Nate rested against a bookshelf, his arms hanging relaxed at his sides rather than crossed in a defensive manner. Xavier held his silence until they were done, then remarked, "This is merely the start. Tomorrow we continue our journey. Weekly staff meetings, surveys for customer feedback are printed and displayed prominently for all to view. My open door policy is genuine." A young woman in the cafe area lifted her hand with a touch of uncertainty. "Will we be receiving additional training?" "I'm talking about genuine training, not merely observing and absorbing." "Indeed," Xavier remarked. "Beginning next week, the company will provide a trainer. Compensation will be provided for every hour spent in training." Her smile revealed a sense of relief. A tall man, who had been shelving business books, inquired about the consequences if another manager were to behave like Austin. Xavier's expression grew more resolute. "Absolute intolerance. If you notice anything, speak up. Rest assured, you will be safeguarded." He truly meant every word. Once they had placed their trust in him, oblivious to his true identity. Now he had to truly earn it. While the team scattered to complete their closing tasks, Emily lingered behind. She beckoned him with a hint of excitement, guiding him toward the bulletin board by the break room. Amidst the schedules and announcements, a hand-drawn poster caught the eye. It stated that our store upholds honesty, respect, and passion. Underneath, there were smaller letters inscribed by someone. As she recalled the reasons behind her passion for literature, Emily gazed at him, her eyes glimmering softly. "This morning we accomplished it together, and I thought it would be nice to have something tangible to focus on." Xavier gazed at the poster, lost in thought for a considerable time. "It's flawless," he remarked at last. The parking lot lay almost deserted under the open sky. The final sliver of sunset slipped away, casting a gentle shadow over the rooftops. Xavier hesitated for a moment, savoring the last remnants of warmth, before he stepped into the refreshing evening air. The bookstore behind him had transformed into something far beyond a mere retail space for novels. It was a location that represented meaning once more. This time, he would hold on tightly and never let it escape again.